So after Mr. Armstrong's confession, I wanted to tell you how he got away with it, but more importantly, how he wouldn't get away with it now. So, how does drug testing work? So there's this thing called WADA. It's the World Anti-Doping Agency, and it was set up in 1999 as an organisation to stop drugs in sport. WADA have a list of all the things that, as an athlete, you're not allowed to take or do because they'll give you an unfair advantage. This list is unimaginatively called the List of Prohibited Substances and Methods. We know that athletes get tested while they're competing, but to find out about what happens the rest of the year, we have to look at WADA's out-of-competition testing process. This is Bill. He's a professional runner, and just like all professional runners, he trains very hard. But to make sure that Bill isn't getting an unfair advantage by taking any banned substances while he's not competing, WADA make Bill fill in the Adams Athlete's Whereabouts system. This means that for a 1 hour period every day, Bill must tell WADA where he's going to be. And so our intrepid athlete Bill fills in the Athlete's Whereabouts system telling WADA where he's going to be, whether he's at home, on holiday, on a training camp, or even staying at his mum's house. Then one day, Bill gets a knock on his front door. It's the people from WADA, and they've come to test him. He invites the WADA people in, and from the time they arrive at the door to the time they leave, he can't leave their sight. So now Bill has to be tested, which can happen in 2 ways. They can take some of his blood, or they might make him wee in a cup, but they won't leave until he's done. The people from WADA then take the sample of blood or urine back with them to the lab to test it against the samples they already have for Bill. This is his biological passport, and unsurprisingly for Bill, it's negative. Phew. But what would happen if it was positive? Well, what you didn't know is that Bill had been taking some medication for that cold he's had for a few weeks. But he's already told WADA about this because he's submitted a TUE, or Therapeutic Use Exemption. If this was the case and the banned substance found in his sample was from his medication, then he's in the clear. But if he's not, then Bill's probably going to get suspension. The people from WADA can turn up at any time, and if you're not where you say you're going to be, then that counts as a strike. 3 strikes and you'll face much severer consequences, most likely a suspension. So how did Lance get away with it? Well, at the moment we're not 100% sure, but what we do know is that A, drug testing wasn't as good as it is now, and B, whilst he was taking banned substances, they didn't have the biological passports, and so when they did test him, they had nothing to compare it to, so they were testing for drugs and not the effects of drugs like they do now. That's it for this week's 5-minute revision. If you have any questions or want to suggest a topic for next week's video, then leave it in the comments below.